Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/entitled parents for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the post, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Crazy123. My parents want me to stay on my medication and control my life after I found out that my life is better without it. I, 20 male, still live at home with my family. I've been diagnosed with ADHD and autism for about 15 years and have been taking medication for them both. I didn't realize there was an autism pill. Just recently, I ran out and will not be able to get a refill till this coming February. My parents were horrified about that fact and wanted me to call my pharmacist and get just a small amount to keep me medicated till I can get a refill. I didn't do that. They got so mad and basically told me I couldn't function properly without them, when in reality, I can't function to what they want me to do. My parents have me do practically every chore around the house while having a full-time job, and my 25-year-old brother, who also lives at home, does no chores, and his excuse is that he works night shifts. This last week has been the worst of it. My father gets in constant arguments with me about my desk being a mess, when it just has a ton of equipment on it that is being used at all times, and it also has an unopened Coke can. No matter how much I clean and make it to what they want, they still don't think it's good enough. And my mom just lets it happen and tells me to listen to my father. I don't listen to them because they want me on medication that they keep wanting my dosage increased every few years and will soon make me a mindless zombie. They're really bad when my girlfriend is over because she dresses gothic and also happens to work at a processing plant in Springfield, Ohio, and they constantly talk about how the community there are eating dogs and cats and being incredibly racist. I can't wait to leave their hellhole of a house and never look back. First thing you should 100% do is look to see if they have a guardianship over you, and if they do, you need to look at resources to get that dissolved. You should also see if you can visit your doctor in private and address your concerns with them, and make sure that your parents aren't included in the conversation. Now, assuming the medication is just for the ADHD, and you may have misspoken about the medication also being for your autism, definitely talk with your doctor about this, and see what their recommendations are, because not every person with ADHD needs to be on medication. It can certainly help with some of the more destructive symptoms that it can cause, but some people can learn to overcome those destructive symptoms and become a powerhouse without the medication. Also, small pet theory of mine, because Adderall and others are a controlled substance, if they're so goddamn, jumpy to get you back on prescriptions and looking to get you a, quick supply from a pharmacist in the meantime, I would Google what your medication is supposed to look like and see if what your parents are giving you matches what the medication should look like. Because a pet theory of mine is they might be pocketing your Adderall and giving you caffeine pills. That is crazy tinfoil hat theory, by the way. So just Google search and just double check the medication you're taking actually matches what it's supposed to. And if it does, nice, perfect. You are in the clear and they're not stiffing you on medication and taking your controlled substances. And that's why they're so pushy on upping the dosage for it, as well as trying to illegally obtain other forms of medication in the meantime. But most importantly, make sure they don't have a guardianship over you, because if they don't, you are home free to start separating your life from theirs. If they do, buddy, you have some other fucking problems going on and you gotta figure your shit out ASAP and find a support network, because that is gross. Valuable comment, 2491. My mom wants to hear my asexuality. Oh boy, here we go. I, 18 female, just came out to my mom as asexual. Her reaction? She wants to put me on hormones to increase my sex drive. This is actually dumb. My mom is a hardcore Christian who believes that premarital sex is pretty much the worst thing you can do. Yet when I tell her that I have no desire to have sex, she wants me to still want to? This is the same woman that hates trans people and is disgusted when trans kids are put on hormones. Yet she wants to put me, her adult daughter, on hormones because she thinks I should want sex, but also not have sex. I couldn't make this make less sense if I tried. Update. Today we were talking about college and she goes off on a tangent that was essentially her repeatedly going, "Don't have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex." I don't even know what she wants anymore. Well, great news for you. You're 18, so she can't subject you to hormone treatments that you don't want. And on top of that, you can just make your way through college, and then once you're out of it, just live your life how you want to. She can't really have a say in it, and she can't control how much you should want to have sex, but can't because you're not married. Just, find someone who understands you and can appreciate you for being you and be happy. That's all your mother should want from you. But no, apparently she wants you to be so overridden with the desire to fuck but not be allowed to. Some of it might be that she's just really desperate for you to have grandkids, and hearing that you had no interest in having sex may have spooked her with, oh no, if my daughter doesn't want to have premarital sex, I may never have grandkids. So I have to make her want to have sex, but then cockblock her every step of the way, so that way I get grandkids, but she doesn't have premarital sex. Also, I hope to God YouTube doesn't demonetize me for saying sex like 30 times in 2 minutes. If you hear a bunch of censored words, that's because YouTube did not like it. Monkey Mayhem 1968. Misogynistic entitled parents watch their kid lose horribly to a girl. I'm writing this on my niece's account because of the new account filter. Me, male 47, and my daughter, female 17, live in Canada. There are many outdoor rinks in our area, and we have a favorite one because there are team-based benches, study boards, it's zambonied by the city every hour, and it's just generally well kept. You can reserve an hour at a time on the sign-up sheet for $15, but it's free to skate as long as nobody has booked for that time. My daughter plays a very high level of competitive ice hockey, and she often reserves an hour or two and invites many of her teammates to this rink for fun, so they can play casually. Around a week ago, my daughter, me, and 4 others from her team are about halfway through her reserved time. This group of boys, 13 to 14-year-olds, that nobody else knows, gets out of a vehicle and approaches the rink, put their skates on and start skating while passing and shooting pucks and leaving their sticks lying around, all in the way of my daughter's game. I show them the clipboard with a sign-up sheet which proves my daughter paid for these 2 hours and calmly ask them to clean up their gear and wait 30 minutes until the schedule is clear again. One kid, entitled kid, looks at me and rolls his eyes while turning his back on me, and his group does not stop getting in our way. I tell the girls to start picking up the stuff the boys keep leaving around the rink and to simply just toss it over the boards onto the mats along the ice. Entitled kid who rolled his eyes earlier starts complaining, and at this point his dad, entitled father, and mom, entitled mother, have gotten out of the vehicle and ask what's wrong. The kid smirks at me and then whines to entitled father and entitled mother that he was trying to play hockey with his friends, but then a bunch of girls came and tried to bother them. I tried to show entitled father and entitled mother the same clipboard, but entitled father immediately took his kid's side and told me to leave and come back later since he was here first. False. And that girls are too weak and fragile to play with boys. A few minutes later, a worker from the city comes by and shows entitled father that we in fact are entitled to the rink for the next half hour, regardless of who arrived first, since we paid for that specific time. Entitled mother suggested going to a different rink, but entitled father said, "No, I'll get these girls to leave." My daughter skates over and even offers the boys to join her game, so at least they're not in the way of each other. But entitled father and this kid keep spewing rhetoric about how young girls can't be good at male-dominated sports, and how they have it so easy since they don't allow contact in women's hockey, and therefore the girls should just go home. But the kid's friends wanted to play, so he begrudgingly agreed, saying things about how easy this is gonna be. I sat down on one of the benches, entitled father and entitled mother sat on the other one. What entitled father and entitled kid failed to realize is A, these girls are all a part of the same high competitive team, and B, that because women's hockey doesn't use contact, girls have to solely rely on agility and puck control skills, whereas a major skill for men's hockey involves hitting to make plays. I guess this makes me an instigator, but I nudged her and her teammates to go extra hard on them. Me, entitled father, and entitled mother watch half an hour of my daughter's team absolutely destroy these kids in every aspect of the game. Entitled kid started getting really angry and frustrated, and he decided to do something really stupid. The next time my daughter had the puck, Entitled Kid charged as fast as he could and attempted to ram her into the boards. Instead, Entitled Kid ended up slamming knee first into the door. He got up immediately and then started screaming and crying about how it's not fair and yelling at Entitled Father about going home. Entitled Mother says something about how this is a public rink and we have the right to be here, but the trio left in the car after swearing and yelling towards me. But a few of Entitled Kid's friends stayed. My daughter's team and the remaining guys ended up splitting equal amounts of each group into 2 teams and kept playing together fine until the next reservation. Apparently, this kid and dad duo have a history of getting in the way and blaming/complaining about women. Of the guys who stayed, they all mentioned that they're only friends with Entitled Kid because Entitled Father is their house league coach and they don't share the same views about women's hockey. I'm not entirely upset about what happened now that it's in the past. I'm simply baffled that there are still people that think that women shouldn't exist in some sports, even if they're male-dominated. This might seem off-tangent to a lot of people, but to others, this is properly on topic. This is part of the reason why Rock Lee is one of my anime characters, and for those of you who don't know, I'll try to simplify it. Rock Lee is a character from an anime called Naruto. He's incapable of doing specific fighting styles that are oftentimes used by the other kids within his class, so he can only do one specific form. Well, this bullcut motherfucker got really goddamn good at that one specific thing that he was able to do, to the point where he was able to begin besting others who did specialize in the other fighting styles that he was unable to do. And I've always been a fan of the concept of just because you don't have full access to the kits that other people might, doesn't mean you can't make damn well good of what you have access to. And sometimes you just need to focus and specialize at what you're good at to overcome the obstacles around you. And I feel like this applies very well in the case of what OP and his daughter was going through here. They might not have access to full contact and the ability to essentially make plays through barreling your way through an individual, but they do have to train on agility and puck maneuvering. And it's interesting to think that something that might oftentimes be seen as the common way to play hockey and the male-dominated form of it, when it comes to women's hockey, they have to train on entirely different metrics in order to stay competitive with each other because, they can't do full contact. So then the concept of, well, you put them into the rink with someone who's used to the full hockey contact style of things and they can't even land a hit because of how agile and quick they are. They had to train in different metrics and methods in order to overcome that obstacle, and it's created almost a perfect parry. And I like stuff like that. It's one of the reasons why Rock Lee is kind of a fun character. Plus also the scene where he takes the ankle weights off, always a phenomenal moment in anime history. Nerd shit, pretty much. And I appreciate the message that it sent. Agitated Pudding, 7259. My controlling parents don't want me to move away. I'm 35. Got fired from my last job right before the holidays with zero explanation. 2 weeks later, I got an offer in Denver for $83K. $23K more than my last job, but my parents yell saying, "It's too expensive, $83,000 isn't that much, not enough to live anywhere else but here. It's too cold. What are you gonna do with your house? If you sell, you'll never afford to buy another home. If you rent it out and the job doesn't work, you won't have a place to go back to. If you rent it out, whoever you rent it to will destroy your property. Where are you going to put your stuff if you rent it out?" They want me to turn this opportunity down, which means staying on unemployment until something else comes up or that shit runs out. Stay put and keep looking for local jobs in Kansas. My dad sent me a job posting for an administrative assistant at a local university for $15K less than I was making at my last job. I've been a project manager for 7 years, an admin assistant job photocopying some old dude's documents, arranging his folders, scheduling his meetings. Sounds like a huge step back to me. That is a job I would hate and I am overqualified for. He shouted at me. I was damn stupid for not applying for it. Meanwhile, my sister is turning 38 and has never moved out of my parents' house and doesn't drive herself anywhere. Mom drives her to and from work every day, which they have no problem with. Why aren't they questioning what is she doing with her life? They're so hands-off when it comes to her life choices. What's crazier is their talk is making me second-guess my new gig. I turned down a job in Boston 2 years because of this type of pressure. And look what happened to me. I took a pay cut and then got fired. Now I'm thinking I'm about to do it again. there's no support for me whatsoever. They say I'm gonna fail and not have anything to come back to. I'm all torn up about their behavior and doubting. Their words have made me feel awful about everything. Buddy, here's what you do. First things first, you look at the housing situation near your work. See if you can find something that's within your budget so you can comfortably live in Denver, handle rent, handle an apartment, get yourself situated so you know that you at least have housing figured out. Look at the workplace culture. See if they have any layoffs. See how often people stay at that job. Make sure that you're going to be secure there. Once you do get to Denver, build a nest egg. Get at least 6 months worth of rent over your time at working for the company, so that way if something does happen, you at least have 6 months that you can find out what to do next with your life. Sometimes you just need to jump feet first and take a risk, and it can definitely be risky, it can be scary, it can be dangerous, but the freedom that you will have is awesome, and it's worth it. Take a trip out to Denver at minimum. Put on some flow bites, put on some music that you enjoy, and just feel the area out. See if it's something that you want. Worst comes to worst, you go back to Kansas and decide that Denver's not for you. But if everything lines up for you, don't hesitate to take an opportunity to make your life just new, and to have an opportunity to start new, and to have a new experience, to meet new people, to see new places, to experience new things. Don't let the words of your parents get the best of you. Because something to keep in mind is that if you do succeed leaving Kansas behind, that means they were wrong about not just you, but probably themselves. What they might be repeating and parroting to you might be their own fears and own concerns about leaving Kansas behind. Sometimes you just gotta swing for the fence and just see where it lands. Snoogoats 1557. Non-parents shouldn't be allowed to have time off during school holidays. Today, I found an article about how all the children-free monsters are booking holidays during the summer. Excerpt below. My husband's small team is full of child-free colleagues who often book the school holidays off, despite not even having kids. I don't think it's that big a deal for companies to say that only parents should get priority to book off half-term or the 6-week summer holiday. First, if you have kids, you need to be organized and book time off early. How does it go? Your lack of planning does not constitute an emergency on my part. Also, if I wanted to go to a summer festival or spend a week with my nephews, that's up to me. Yes, having kids can make work and life balance more difficult, but that is a choice people make when they have kids. When did it become normal for parents to demand everyone else adjust their lives because of a choice they made? So this is actually where I have to give a lot of hats off to my dad, because once upon a time, when I was just a little old Asmodeus medium, and going on summer vacation and whatnot, my dad, when planning vacations, used to look up the local school districts to see when the kids were back in school and if it aligned with my local school district. So that way we could go to amusement parks and theme parks and not have to worry about any kids whatsoever. See, my dad very well understood the concept of the fact that, yes, he has a child and he has to plan vacations around, schedules and whatnot and figure things out. But he also realized he can plan his vacations around other people's schedules, and mad props to that, because that's something that I always found kind of goofy when I was younger, but as an adult, I just have nothing but major appreciation for it. But back to the post and the original concept of the argument of that adults who don't have kids shouldn't be allowed to book vacations on dates that children have off. I just think this is an incredibly selfish and narrow-minded worldview, because then you need to think and consider the fact that not every area has the same school district schedule. Kids might get out a week earlier, a week later than other schools. They might start school a week later earlier. Spring break might be on different weeks. It could be vastly different between multiple different school districts, and I just think that implementing a system like this from the logistics standpoint, because that's where my mind first goes to, is the logistics of this, would be a goddamn nightmare. And how would you enforce this? Would you have to send in photos of your kids to complete strangers? Just a messy circumstance. And I'm still way too focused on the logistics of this and not just the obvious factor that, as OP stated, you gotta have a work-life balance, and if you want to have a vacation with your kids, you need to schedule it in advance to make sure that you're getting what you want for your reservations for the vacation. You can't just expect other people to make sacrifices for the decision that you made to have children. Some Yogurt, 8748. My entitled father came looking for a participation trophy for showing up literally 2 times in my life, days after telling me he failed me on an epic level. If anyone has any advice on how to process or heal this or just how to make it hurt less, I'm all ears. Also, trigger warning for mentions of suicide. So, my and my older brother are both his children. We were the products of an affair he and my mother were having on their respective spouses. Can't say we had the best start in life, and it didn't get any better along the way. My father lost everything when I was a baby, and she left him before I was 2. My mom is not emotionally mature or healthy in any way, and I'd armchair diagnose a personality disorder or 2. And her replacement dads weren't any better. There was neglect and abuse of both me and my brother. From the time she left him until I was 16, important later, I met him 2 times in all those years. In my mid-30s, I reached out to him wanting to know where I came from, maybe have one goodish parental relationship. That was my first mistake. When I was 16 and my brother just shy of 17, Irish twins, my brother couldn't take one more day of the pain and ended his life. I found him. All these years later, my dad tells me at my brother's funeral, my mom told him, "Sorry, I did this to our son." She basically confessed to abusing him until he couldn't live anymore. My dad did nothing and just left me in her care. I'll admit, it took a while for the full ramifications of his story to settle in, that I was 16, a minor, in her custody, and should have been protected, while he viewed it as nothing more than the day he saw my mother's mask slip. Several days later, we were talking, and I still hadn't grasped it. He told me he wanted me to give him credit for being there for me. And I refused, telling him I used to cry myself to sleep at night wondering why my dad didn't want or love me. From my point of view, he wasn't there, not in any way that mattered. Afterwards, it all clicked and I realized how deeply he failed me and was even less there for me than I thought. I told him we needed to talk, and when he was in a space to hear me, to let me know, and recommended he line up support either from his therapist or sponsor. I'm still waiting, and it's been a while now. After everything, I'm starting to doubt he will even give me the courtesy of a conversation, let alone any real accountability or remorse. All I keep thinking about is how he wanted a damn hero cookie for showing up 2 times. It, to me, seems like it's not just your mother's mask who slipped. And I hate to say this, but it sounds like you're trying to find something from your childhood that you never received in this man, and I don't think you're going to get it. This isn't someone you want in your life. This is someone who skated by and avoided having contact with you and took the easiest and least path of resistance the entire time, showed up a few times, and now is essentially, as you said, wanting a hero cookie for doing not even the bare minimum. And I fucking hate to say this, man, but when it comes to family, you might be alone. But family's not just defined by blood. It's defined by the experiences that you have with others, and the experiences that you can build with others, that you can define a newfound family with. And that's what you should be focusing on. Not the people in your life who weren't there for you, but the people who are there for you now. I hope this even makes a lick of sense, assuming that OP even finds this video, but seriously, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, as I believe the saying goes. Long jumping size 76-2. Boyfriends, 25, parents, have complete control of him, despite him renewing his lease today. None of us can break through to him. He's 25 and this is insane. They have alienated us for a month. We were going to have dinner tonight in Snuggle, and I got a mystery text. Can't make it, plans changed. We worked so hard to get him moved out last year. So many people on here can't leave because of financial issues. He saved up a massive amount of money, 4 years worth of rent, and had a full-time job. We all rallied behind him, his friends, my friends, our coworkers. He had a village. Over a period of a year, we uncovered a misdiagnosis confirmed by specialists, and he was able to get off the meds. They had him erroneously diagnosed with bipolar after he had reacted to his abuse and got the cops called on him and hauled to the psych unit. We were also able to get him to a neuropsychologist and uncover what's really been going on: OCD and ADHD. His parents say the diagnosis is false. Any doctor he's seen while he was with me are all wrong. When they found out I was helping him with all of this, they lost their shit, started calling me a controlling abuser. They have confiscated his currently prescribed medication and forced him on the old ones he worked so hard to get off of. He made a perfectly normal, legal $500 purchase related to his health, and they forced him to destroy it. We recently found a therapy program to address all these issues, but now he says he can't be honest because he's now doing it from their house. They forced him to delete all photos of me. They're tracking his every movement. Any attempt he makes to speak up, they tell him he's too mentally ill, doesn't know what he's talking about. Anytime he says no, they say he's an adolescent. They're sick of his little drama, etc. He still has 2 months on the current lease, but every time he wants to go home, he gets beleaguered. Every time he says no, they spend hours turning into a yes. They will bombard him with endless texts and calls. He's constantly interrogated. He's constantly told he will fail without them. He's constantly told he's too disabled to do this on his own. They're forcing him to go to college despite him having said he's not ready 100 times in a field he has no aptitude or interest in. He had said so many times these choices are not his own. He still has his own apartment. Today his mother was going to pack everything up even though he has 2 months left. He told us all he knows how wrong this is, took the plunge today and renewed the lease. And then they found out and he disappeared again. Can't make it. Plans changed. My friends and I walked to his apartment and of course he was not there. Yesterday and today he talked about how he knows how wrong this all is. He took the plunge and renewed the lease. They immediately demanded he contact the property management and tell them he changed his mind. I'm exhausted, I'm spent, I'm sick, and he will not listen to anyone and keeps choosing this. Last time he lived there, he slept with a Glock under his bed, ready to end his life because he said he never knew there was an option to just leave. He's talked about learned helplessness, being controlled this way his whole life in Stockholm Syndrome. We helped him do that. We all rallied around him for his safe passage, and now he's gone back. It breaks my heart to see in the comments section how many people are saying to just leave the boyfriend behind and just move on. It's very clear, not just OP, but how much everyone around this individual cares about them. They're in an extremely toxic and abusive situation, and they're very clearly in need of a lot more than just help. The only comment that I saw that was actually constructive, or I guess 2 of them, was to call Adult Protective Services, and he needs to do everything he possibly can to avoid any kind of contact with his parents. Getting a PO box, getting a new phone number, getting a bank account that they don't have access to, disposing of prescriptions that he doesn't need, getting a restraining order, doing that kind of stuff to put that in place to get him disconnected. Because the thing is, in these kind of abusive situations, it is not as easy as just cutting the ties, and it is extremely unfair to say, oh, he's not willing to help himself. You are trying to undo 25 years of emotional abuse that has degraded who this person was and could have been in trying to rebuild them from the ground up. And the amount of comments that are just saying to just throw him off to the side and to just abandon him is depressing. It's sad. It's revolting. And it's shit like this for why I have such a big fucking problem whenever Reddit wants to go no contact and just abandon shit, because things are always so much more fucking complicated than just simply walking away. I fucking hate that. It is always a million fucking times easier just to type out, oh, just wipe your hands clean and walk away. Oh, you can't help someone who won't help themselves. Yeah, glad that you could fucking type that out, but you're not in that situation. Congratulations, Mr. Keyboard fucking Warrior. I'm really glad that you can learn how to fucking type your ABCs. Now, what can you do to actually fucking help? Oh, nothing? Then back the fuck off. Ah! There is a line in the sand that once it's crossed, you do have to walk away from it, but just simply abandoning someone who is in this kind of position, you are damning them. And I think the reason why it gets under my skin the most is because I've been in a similar situation to this. I was never as far as the person that OP is trying to help was, but I've been here, and I've had people just fucking walk away. And all this does is just further cement the people that are being little fucking earworms and just chewing away at their psyche and making them feel like they have to depend on them, that they're right. that you're incapable of being on your own. And what I cannot stress enough is this cannot be fixed by one person. It takes so much more to be able to break through these cracks, and it's not something that can just be done overnight, and it's going to be frustrating. There's going to be a lot of setbacks. There's going to be a lot of retreating back to safety and normalcy for them in their eyes, and you can't just walk away and leave. The only thing that I can ask is just to be patient and to stick with them and to just try to be there for them. Because if you just walk away and prove his parents right, then they win. And you might be planning a funeral at that point. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.